Hello and welcome. My name is Bill Rand, and I'm the instructor for the digital marketing class you're taking. I'm now talking with Amit Bivas, who is head of marketing at Optimove. Optimove uses AI, machine learning, and big data to help marketers reach their customers in a meaningful way. Today, we'll be discussing the advanced technologies in marketing and how students can best prepare themselves for this new digital world. So to start off, and then I want to toss it right over to you and kind of tell me a little bit more about Optimove. What is Optimove? What is it doing?
Thanks for having me on this video, Bill. Optimove is a marketing technology. What we do essentially is help brands better communicate with their existing clients with the goal of maximizing the value of each and every customer. So as you know, probably today, acquisition costs are skyrocketing. And if you don't invest strategically in CRM and customer marketing and relationship marketing, you won't be able to be ROI positive whatsoever. So that's, the realms that we operate in.
Great, great. So one concept I found intriguing when I was looking over the Optimove website and understanding a little bit more about what Optimove does, and that you discussed there is this idea around creating intelligent relationships with customers, right? And emotionally intelligent relationships. So what do you mean by an emotionally intelligent relationship?
So when I am asked to explain this concept, so usually I tend to refer to, when is a conversation between two people a good conversation? Usually a good conversation, one of the sides or ideally both sides have emotional intelligence. Think about those clerks, 50, 60 years back where you'd come in, they know you by name, they know what you're likely to order, that you like that skim milk and light bread. They provide you exactly the value that you expect to get, right? So that's pretty much the types of relationships that we're talking about and aiming to enable our clients to foster such relationships. The problem is scale. So that clerk back in the day was able to do it with 100, 150 customers, but today, hundreds of thousands or millions of customers, it becomes a challenge because today the biggest problem is creating that value exchange. Each customer perceives the value that they receive from the brand differently, and then in order for the brand to be able to provide that value to the consumer, that's what we call emotional intelligence, and the challenge is doing that at large scale.
Yeah, so clearly, kind of doing all these processes that are essentially marketing, customer service, things along those lines at large scale is very difficult to do. And one of the ways Optimove describes itself is that it provides marketing automation. And I think that's a very popular term that a lot of students are hearing now as they move through the job landscape and everything like that. So what exactly is marketing automation, right? And how does that really help a marketer do its job?
It's a great question. And generally speaking, marketing automation is a term that was born out of B2B. So, the Marketos, the HubSpots of the world. So you download content A, and then you start all of the lead nurturing process, lead scoring, and all of that stuff. What Optimove does is a bit different because we're in the B2C space. And the B2C space is less predictable in a way. Each and every consumer could take several different journeys, and if you think about it, there's no one or two or even a consumable number of journeys consumers can take. There's infinite customer journeys. So the idea with the automation here is that the marketer probably can't do manually foster to all of those different journeys, and you need to automate the process of delivering the right message to the right customer through the right channel, and make sure that you're always testing and making sure that as customers progress and change over time, the segmentation changes over time. So we're talking about, from our standpoint and from our context, marketing automation is the ability to move at the speed of your customers and having a dynamic segmentation, automated dynamic segmentation that is able to put the customer in the right segment at the right time, and B, connect to that the action. The right message, the right promotion, making sure that, given the certain segment, we reach the right and necessary goal from that segment.
Great, great. Yeah, and I think that that's important, that discussion you're having about segmentation there, because obviously if you're doing automated marketing where you're sending out, the same email to everybody, right, then that kind of doesn't have an emotional impact, right? That's a very blasé impact, right? And so obviously marketing is moving more and more towards a segment of one, right? So the possibility that you could even have that individual note that's tailored for that particular customer. And in that concept, the idea of personalization becomes very important. So that seems like that's an important concept here. And Optimove obviously kind of does a lot of work in terms of facilitating hyper-targeted marketing. So how does it do that? How does it go about creating hyper-targeted marketing and really making sure that the messages that are being delivered are really tailored as much as possible?
So when I'm asked, what makes good CRM marketing? So the first and foremost is have a good product. After that is have a good segmentation, because what you mentioned as those email bombardment. So we call blanket campaigns, or even better, spray and pray. We all know that doesn't work anymore. So in order to be able to provide that type of personalization, you need segmentation. And not only segmentation, what we do today at Optimum is called micro segmentation. We break down our customers into life cycle stages. Typically, we're talking about new, active, and churn, but there are also additional life cycle stages based on the industry. And then that is broken down into what we call layers of segmentation, which are different angles of observation on each and every one of the life cycle stages. So, for example, look at the active life cycle stage and break it down based on RFM segmentation, and then based on platform preference, web, mobile, and then break down based on product preference, and so on and so forth. And then what we do is we assign a DNA to each and every one of the customers based on their life cycle stage and how do they belong to every different layer of segmentation. And then we group customers with the same DNA. That forms a micro segment. And obviously, plugging back to the previous question, we need to make sure that customers migrate between micro segments every time they change their behavior. And that obviously is a very granular level of segmentation, which enables that type of, the holy grail of segment of one. Only, segment of one literally is overfitting, but here we're talking about very small groups, very granular groups that are very homogeneous, and you can treat them from a marketing standpoint as one single consumer.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds great. I love the idea of assigning. I assume you were saying DNA and not DMA there, but DNA.
No, DNA.
To these individual customers. I think that's a cool metaphor to take away, right? Like that there's actually a description of them at that low of a level, right, of who they are and what they're doing. And of course, taking a step back, right, that process is not done manually anymore, right? There's not someone who's manually moving these individuals around on a spreadsheet or anything like that, right? Instead, it's probably done, I would assume, through some sort of machine learning and artificial intelligence to kind of understand that. So what is the role of machine learning and AI in marketing? And do you foresee marketers using more of these kind of tools in the future within the marketing realm?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I have to say that, and I'm a B2B marketer, we probably created a huge balloon out of these, AI and ML terms. So many companies say that they do that, but they don't do that. So I don't want to approach, the general AI and machine learning, space. I can say what Optimove does in those spaces. So typically, our approach is that, there's just too much data for the marketer to be able to, draw a relevant conclusion at scale from that data. So where we use AI is, helping the marketer understand which data is relevant, which data isn't relevant, and where is the marketer missing opportunity. Finding that, those areas where the cost of opportunity is, a bit high, and where you rather invest in those areas. Which segments, for example, are underexposed? Which segments are overexposed? Which segments are built out of several different segments, so you want to break them down. So it's pretty much more of helping the marketer or surface insight in order to enable the marketer make a better decision. Because today, what makes good marketing, or my day today as a marketer, is mostly decision making. And then you want to make sure that you're making the right decision and even looking at the right dilemmas. So that's pretty much how we use AI, helping leverage the right dilemmas of the marketer and letting them make the right decisions accordingly.
So AI is more driving insight and kind of realizations that a marketer then might act on rather than removing the human completely from the loop.
Exactly, because there are so many moving parts that a human brain could make some sense into it, but when you have a machine learning algorithm combing through all of the data, it makes it much easier and and much more scalable.
Cool. That sounds fascinating to me. And there are a bunch of other students, I'm sure, who are also interested in working in this cutting edge space, really of really marketing automation, hyper targeting, right? AI and machine learning and marketing. And so, if they're really interested in that, what do you think they can do best to prepare themselves for a career in this field?
So I'd say, first of all, read and continue educating yourselves. It's so easy to build a company today, and the space is so crowded. So it's all about knowing, what are the trends out there, looking at, which are the companies out there, and end of the day, if you want to work for such a technology company, I think that was the question, right? What do the students need to do in order to start working as employees of such company or with these technologies?
Either way, right? So, like, let's say they want to build their own company, or they want to go and work for a company like Optimove, for
Right.
instance.
So I think that today it's common practice where if you want to start a company, you can't invent. Usually, it's very hard to invent something from thin air. Today, it's all about improving the iterative approval that you do. So find a problem that's solved already, but that you could solve better using that type of technology. That's where the entrepreneurs are trying to start their own thing. For people that want to come into the business side of these companies, I think that first and foremost, it's as I said, super important to understand the space. Understand, the competitive space, because today, as I said, the entrance barriers to start a company are very, very low. And so, Fred, I can give you the example of Optimum. When we started out, we were the only company in our space. And then fast forward 5 years, it became a trending space. And today we're competing with, tens or if not hundreds of companies. So, understand the space, understand the competition, and make sure that, you are able as a business person to promote the company in a way that you're able to, showcase the specific advantage of the company. And also working in a tech company, you need to be a tech person. If you don't, if you're not tech savvy and if you don't understand technology in depth, I'd recommend maybe looking for working in other types of environments.
Well, that's a great way to end. So, looking, really embracing the technology, really diving into it, even if you're on the marketing side of it, right? That's really the way to kind of make a career in this field. Is that kind of what
Exactly.
you're saying?
Be a techie, and if you're not a techie, look elsewhere.
Sounds great. Well, thank you very much for your time, Amit. It's been wonderful having this conversation. I think you provide a lot of great insight for the students.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you very much, Bill.